Johnson, and this is focused on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Bokonjre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Affairs, in diaspora, current affairs, reliable information, history, talking about culture, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
Good evening and welcome to Focus on Liberia. This is another edition of Friday Night Debate on Focus on Liberia, where we break down the issues shaping our democracy, our governance, and our national direction. Tonight, we examine 4 major developments that go to the heart of accountability performance in public service. 1. President Joseph Boakai's foreign travel clampdown, a directive that centralizes approval for all official trips and prioritizes virtual participation. Number 2, the administration's new anti-corruption justice reform bills, which promise to strengthen integrity system. Number 3, the General Auditing Commission's public commendation of the president for creating an audit-friendly environment. And number 4, Liberia's performance on the Millennium Challenge Corporation Scorecard, a global benchmark that determines whether Liberia qualifies for major development funding. These issues are not isolated. They speak to how Liberia governs, how it manages public resources, and how it positions itself for international credibility. I want to welcome our political analyst, Mr. J. Victor Nambwe, a longtime member of the Progressive, especially the United People's Party, now CMC. Welcome, Mr. Nambwe.
Thank you, Mr. Jazz. Good to be with you. Happy Friday to all, and thanks for joining us. If you're watching us, please don't watch alone. Invite a friend, but it's good to be here.
Thank you. Let me welcome the man who I met over 30 years ago on the Bunduban refugee camp as our school public relations officer, Dr. Jones Octavio Male Sr. He is also a senior educational analyst from a sister network, LPRTV. Welcome, Dr. Male.
Oh, thank you, moderator, and my greeting to senior brother Nangbe and our relay moderator. We hope that all the viewers will keep up, and we'll try to share our view the best possible we can.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me also welcome Mr. Samuel O. Jada SOJ, who's joining us from sunny Arizona. Welcome, SOJ. You're muted, sir.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Nice being on Focus on Liberia. To all the viewers, please share the show as we are doing. Don't watch it alone, like Mr. Nambwe said. Thank you for having me on Focus on Liberia.
Thank you. Last and definitely not the least is our new progressive commentator who is behind the curtains right there, Dr. Clarence R. Pearson. He's also Reverend Dr. Clarence R. Pearson. Dr. Pearson, welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Thank you, Dennis. It's a pleasure being on. I want to say hi to all my fellow panelists and to our viewers out there. It's a pleasure, and I look forward to a nice show tonight, Dennis.
Thank you. Let's welcome all our viewers from across the globe. If you have not done so already, please hit that share button. Invite someone in our mission to create a more enlightened and informed Liberian society that attracts the world. Gentlemen, we have 4 topics on the menu. My main question for topic number 1 is President Boakai's foreign travel clampdown. Is President Boakai's foreign travel directive a necessary governance discipline or an overreach that centralizes too much power in the hands of the president? SOJ, what do you think?
Well, the entire travel restriction, when did President Boakai realize that he doesn't need to travel with all these people that he's been traveling with? For one person to decide the fate of everybody, I think Liberia is a unitary state, so we should expect that the president will be, everything will center on the president. So it's not like federal state where we have, I think, share of power. So I don't think the president's decision is being like putting power, everything in his hands. I just think that he's doing his unitary, because Liberia is a unitary state, so everything is the president. President appoint up to even I don't say principal, but board of every education in anything. Like the president,
he appoints the principal of BWI.
So you see there. So the president appoints almost every small local officials. We don't have a decentralized government yet. So yes, the president is in his preview as the president of the country to see that. But for me, it's too late. We should have done that when he was when the time they inaugurated him. I think he should have done that a long time ago. He has wasted a lot of money. Within the next, he got 3 more years. I think he got a few more years to go. Apparently, he realized now that he's supposed to do that.
Thank you. Dr. Mali, does the directive reflect a real problem of excessive travel among officials?
Well, the question is no. And I said no because every government has got its own modus operandi of operation. And besides that, I one person that strongly believe in institutional discipline. And so I think I would see it as a house cleaning approach. But I would agree with Samuel in a sense that a little bit overdue, because it being almost, according to sources, 48 years now, since 1979, when the late William Talbot visited the disbursement section of the finance ministry, and his move was to ensure people go to work on time. So the institutional discipline are very necessary. But the problem now is, if it is coming midway, people start to speculate, why at this time? You see, why at this time, when we have gone almost 2 years into this administration? So if these things have come earlier, apart from the traveling itinerary, because I know no minister will just get on and travel from Liberia, I'm sure they have to consult the president. I'm sure all of these things happen. But the question now, why now? So I want to agree with you with your assessment, whether it's overreaching or the president just decided at this time to enforce this thing. But in a nutshell, I think it's just necessary for us to enforce some institutional discipline, because government is a structural institution. So you can't leave a lot of things open that way. But my question now is, are we going to go further than this? Like people coming to work on time. There are a lot of ethical issues with civil service going to work and a whole lot of things happening. So are we going to go further than that? That is the question I try to really find out.
Thank
But
you.
it is a good idea.
Thank you. Mr. Nambwe, could this improve cabinet productivity or does it weaken Liberia's diplomatic presence?
Well, it depends. I mean, are we getting anything out of these trips? If we were, that argument could be made. But I tell you, I can't point to anything that these trips are yielding. So I don't know. I don't understand the president's argument because I think it's flawed. The president says he's the traveler in chief. He travels more than anybody else. He has averaged about 16 to 20 trips over 3 years. That's an average of at least 5 trips per year, costing him almost $16 million. Compare that to Donald Trump, who has made 10 trips in his 2 years. He's averaging the same trips as Donald Trump. What is he looking for? Where is he going? And what has he brought back? I think those are the questions we should be asking. The president's footprints are far bigger than anybody in the Republic of Liberia. He makes more trips than anybody else. So I think all of this, I think is smoke screens. I don't think it really will amount to anything. I don't think so. The president should lead by example. How many virtual meetings has the president held? I can't point to maybe 5. Maybe we're not aware of them. I know he met with Elon Musk or whatever it is when Starlink was, but other than that, the president goes to every meeting in person. So I think the call is belated. I mean, he has about a year or so left on his term. Give and take a year or two. I think this is something that he should have come in with from the get-go. But as we've said over and over, when you start on the wrong footing, it is difficult to put the genie back in the bottle, especially so that he doesn't seem committed to this call. But we'll watch and see if he himself. I mean, there is always that loophole. Oh, except the express approval of the president. Of course, he's going to approve every trip, right? Where would you might want to go, and the president will say no? I can't think of anywhere. So we'll watch and see.
Mr. Nambwe, before I go to Evans, there's this repeated theme that why now? Why are you doing it now? Why not? In my village, when they say Moko Amore, who was dead, I mean, wake up. So if the president did do it yesterday and doing it now, wouldn't you commend him? The president once was dead, now he's alive.
Right.
Praise the Lord.
So that is something that will be said about you and I, who may be new to government. This is a man who's been in government over 40 years. What is it he doesn't know that he knows now? What is it that he didn't know before? He was vice president for 12 years. What is it that Joseph Boakai did not know that he knows now? I don't know. Maybe you will answer me that. But this is not somebody who is on a discovery mission. This is somebody who... That's why he campaigned on 40 years of experience, seasoned. He knew where all the bones were buried before he came into the office. So he didn't come in there looking for what to do. He already knew what to do. He should have known what to do. So I think that argument cannot be made about Boakai. It can be made about people like you and myself.
Thank you, sir. When Fatu Gilva is saying, he said, you sleeping, wake up, right? But my question to you, Evans, is should the president apply the same restriction to his own travel, or the president is in a different league?
All right, thank you, Mr. Jai. Yes, I think, and hello to you fellow panelists and viewers. I think, yes, the president has a special privilege as the president, right? Because he's required to go to certain places. His presence is required for certain interaction engagements. So I think, yes, that's different. But I think it's like that old saying, I don't know what kind of dollar it is, but it's this, right? You say you don't know. So I think it's like the president now is recognizing the profligacy of this gun, the spending of media resources. The man and his wife and his kids, they like to go out to eat.
Is it me or is it? I think Elvis' mic is really bad.
Every always have this microphone problem. You can no longer clean the youngest if you have the bad microphone. But okay, while you fix that, let me go to Dr. Pearson. Dr. Pearson, does this signal a broader shift toward tighter executive control?
I think my mic is okay. I just fixed it.
No, it's not fixed.
It's not fixed.
It's not fixed.
You guys not hearing me better?
No.
Don't be offended with me if it's fixed. It's fixed. Don't just skip over you.
It's not fixed.
Are you guys hearing me better?
Evan,
No.
why not get out and come back?
No, that is microphone. Dr. Pearson, does this signal a broader shift towards tighter executive control, or is trying to shift towards streamlining, efficiency, and all the good stuff?
Thank you, Dennis. I think it's a good question, but off the back, you can say that I wouldn't call it a shift. In that, if my memory serves me right, this is the third time we're hearing about the president trying to restrict travel. The first time we heard it was after the drawdown of USAID, and then the president acknowledged the financial difficulty that would have brought to the country. So he said they were going to cut back on travel, and the minister of finance. What is his name again? Augustine Kwehe-Gafwan, Minister Gafwan, came up with a whole list of travel protocol as far as listing how many persons can travel on a trip and at what position level you need to get clearance. So I think the president is just restating what he have already said before. So does that constitute a shift? No, it does not. It just maybe reinforcement of the policy. I would say yes. But it goes to what everyone else is saying. I think you said why now. When I read the order from the president, the directive from the president, he said due to mounting priority needs, mounting needs of more urgent priority. So he is, I guess maybe because of the Ebola tension now that they need more money for Ebola and other things. So I can't read the president's mind because he didn't brought more to the table in that directive. But what I can say in conclusion, I think he says that when I read the directive that they want to go back to what we, or you, myself, and others advocated on here, that they should take advantage of virtual conferences for meetings. So instead of having to fly to every invitation you receive, you can attend some of those meetings via virtual. So he said that's what they're doing. The virtual attendance first priority, then before the need for in-person travel will be committed. But again, I will close by saying this, like everyone else said. Look, the president has to lead by example. I gave a parable on at the executive mansion post, and I said the rat says to the mouse, nobody should eat rice. And the mouse said, "Oh yeah, rat, chief rat, we'll follow your footstep, we'll follow your lead. Anything you say, we'll go. You want us to go first class, economic class, private jet, commercial." So you see, once the president sets the tune, everybody will dance to it. And I think the president should take cue from the fact that we don't say these things because we want to be anti to the government. Mr. Alexander Cummings said this before, that he would not query the president's travel, but he wants to ensure that the president understands that the country has needs. He must be able to organize the priority in a way that he addresses those needs in a much more balanced fashion. And I think any good leader would do
that. Thank you. Elvis.
How's my
No improvement.
oh, gosh.
Hey man. All right. Let's go around the room. Number one, I wanted let's go around the room and name one measurable governance outcome this directive is likely to improve. And number two, is this policy about saving money or controlling movement? Let me start with SOJ.
Well,
One governance outcome this directive is likely to improve. And is this policy about saving money or controlling movement?
Well, I would say I will start with the last question. I would think it's about maybe controlling the money or saving money for the schools that have no blackboard, or maybe they want to focus on security, like we have Guinea to the border. We don't know. Probably they're trying to just make sure that maybe instead of using 1 million, 3 million to travel, they can cut it down to maybe 50,000 or 20,000. Well, I don't know what to say, but if the first question that he asked, which where
the measurable governance outcome is likely to improve.
Well, maybe accountability, I would say, because right now people just travel anyhow. You know, like the president now have control over his government. Apparently, he didn't have the control. He's trying to control the government now. Like I want to agree with one of the speaker here. Like, why will the president stop who humanly from traveling, or maybe cool out for financial traveling? Nobody. So we want to see the outcome of this, but I think the president is trying to take control. And like he was not in charge. He's trying to take control of his government. Finally.
Mr. Nawi, name one measurable governance outcome this directive is likely to improve.
I would just probably sum it up into efficiency. I think it will convey prudence on the part of the commander-in-chief, prudent management of our resources. I think we just mentioned here, you know, an average around maybe $60 million. That's for our budget. That's $60 million that could be, you know, spent on other things. So I think it will. First of all, I think politics, we all know posturing really matters a lot. You know, the kind of message you're conveying, and I think it will convey to his cabinet that, you know, he's all about belt tightening. You know, we heard that from, you know, back in the day, you know, tightening of our belts. You know, so besides that, the president says he's not a young person. You know, I think out of this kind of, I think it's a kind of physical strain that is I believe is imposing a lot of physical strain on him. The ability to concentrate, focus on the problems at home, you know, and a man who is in his advanced ages, traveling all over the place, you know, how much time is he going to have to seriously sit down and consider the problems that are confronting our people? So that's why if you look right now, I can't tell you really what the agenda of this government is. Everything seems to be done haphazardly, you know. One day we're doing roads, the next day we're doing agriculture, the next day we're doing electricity. So I think prudence, to me, I think that is what this is going to convey, and I think it will send a very loud message to his cabinet.
Thank you, Dr. Marley. What do you think is the driving force behind this directive, and do you trust that because enforcement has been our issue, do you trust that the president can enforce it?
Well, yes.
Okay.
It enforces monitoring.
Evans, that's the microphone that's causing the echo.
Hello?
Yeah. Go ahead. What do you think the president trying to accomplish here, and do you trust him for the enforcement of this directive?
Yes, I trust the directive of the enforcement. It's a little late.
Does the president have a history of enforcing this kind of directive?
Well, I think he tried to bring some bring some leverage of innovation in his government cycle, I think. And it's like it enforces monitoring and probably cutting down flamboyant travel, because I'm very sure many ministers or directors have been traveling probably in the absence of the president, which of course I refuse to believe that, because a key minister will always travel with the acquiescence of His Excellency, because you are using taxpayer money. But my point here is that it's a good start. I see it as institutional discipline. But the question now is he going to expand it to other areas within the government cycle, like some of the unethical practices that we see people going to well late People come and sign in according to sources. They don't come back until maybe 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Where he extend this thing. So I would appreciate where he to decentralize some of the institutional discipline. But I think it's on a good footing.
Thank you. Elvis, I'll give you free reign because you missed a lot of the questions. So
Let's hope my mic is better. Is it better?
Oh, yes,
now it's perfect.
Okay,
Thank God
great.
for inputting a new brand one.
No, I just had to go and use the device itself. But like I was saying, the president is now. I don't know. I won't use BB words today, but let me just push another word out there. It's a word called phenomenological, right? It's something that you have to personally experience in order to make a decision. That the logic of your personal experience drive your decision, right? So I think the president now realized that the government, the way they spend money, is unsustainable. You can't spend the meager resources that you have on lascivious, travels. So he realizes that we have to cut back. It's almost a form of austerity, if you want to say that, because these USAID cuts, a lot of money not coming into the country. So I think the president realizing now that maybe we need to start to tighten our belts. And one of the ways you can save money is to cut down travels. And I think what he's trying to do is to show face to the Liberian people that he's serious about saving money and not spending money on important trips, as I'll quantify it. But overall, I think this is a step in the right direction. Like that saying that you gave, Mr. Ja. If a man's been doing the wrong thing his whole life and he woke up at 40 years old and decided to get his life on track, you have to give him credit, right? And you have to encourage him to do the right thing. So I think in this case, the president is trying to make a step in the right direction. And hopefully, if he doesn't want us to call him a hypocrite, he won't go back and start doing secret projects that he knows nothing about, but it turns out to be that's something that the government is funding. He doesn't give the legislature, money and put him in hotels to remove speaker. He doesn't go in there and support illegal removal of people who are serving as lawmakers. So I think the president, if he wants us to believe him and think that he's genuine about what he's trying to do, he has to lead by example. I think other panelists have said the same thing. You have to be the fulcrum. You have to be the focus point of fighting corruption and fighting waste. If you yourself is wearing all the newest clothes and driving all the fanciest cars and having bulletproof, I can't remember the last time there was an assassination attempt on any of our leaders, life. Maybe during the military days, but it's not an issue in Liberia where people try to kill our president. I think having a well protected, a motorcade is good enough in Liberia instead of buying millions of dollars worth of bulletproof vehicles, which was a big waste of money. Many people saw it to be. So, I'll give him the props for taking the initiative now, and hopefully, starting from this point forward, he won't be spending our money loosely. But I'll leave it there for now.
Well, let me ask this, Dennis.
Before I go to Dr. Pearson, Elvis, quickly, we are not short of directives. Is the enforcement? Do you trust the president on that one?
I mean, there's this saying about President Boakai in his personal life that he's stingy. I won't use the word mean, but I say that he's stingy with his resources. He doesn't really give people money, and he's not free-handed, so to speak. So maybe it was a honeymoon period. If I just want to give him the benefit of the doubt, and everybody wanted to globe trout, and people wanted to see different parts of the world that they didn't have the chance to see when they were out of government. So maybe that kind of is waning off, and the luster of it is kind of waning off, and the president now is kind of saying, "Well, you had 2 years of fun."
What I mean, have the president issued other directive that he punished people because they violated, like asset declaration? He was able to suspend.
I mean, he did. He did do it in essence. He put all of those people down until they published their asset, and they came in line and they published their asset. So I think when he says this, maybe he need to put in a clause that those who violated will probably be sacked or they will be suspended without pay for 3 months or 6 months. Put something there that's punitive and that will be a deterrence for people who will violate this decree, or maybe not a decree, but this declaration, whatever you want to call it.
Thank you, Dr. Pearson. It happens here in the United States, especially before this current administration. Other GOP administration will go over, PBS and those kind of things, right? that cut, you know, are there other areas that we can cut bigly instead of foreign travels or ministers travel? Because at the end of the day, you know, does the traveling, the expense in travel represent more in the fraud, waste, and abuse than other areas? How do you look at that?
Thank you, Danny. So let me bring some inside, when I say inside government backdoor understanding to this. One of the things we should take into consideration when you work for government, from my experience, a lot of the travels that we make, if it's connected to United Nations or to UNOPS or to UNICEF or to UN Women and things, they do subsidize some of the travel expenses. They throw in some cash to offset some of the travel expenses. So a lot of the time, the government ministerial agencies will put up some matching funds, but there are more consequential support for any foreign travel comes with the presidency, because the presidency carries with it a whole protocol for security, for other comfort service and stuff like that. The president wouldn't crash in Eugene Falcon basement. When I come and crash in Eugene Falcon basement and keep my 150 and or $200 hotel over next day in my pocket and crash with Eugene Falcon or crash with Stanton Waterspoon, right? The president cannot come to Danny's house and crash there and eat tabadu and with pan butter and kiss me. He gotta go at a certain class, to be fed. So the president is more consequential. So somebody would say, but why now if he's being honest? And this is what I would think, right? With the potential threat of Ebola, which is a consequential circumstances in Africa right now, and the World Health Organization has considered it a pandemic of international concern. Liberia will be looking to go beg for money. So you have to demonstrate a level of fiscal discipline so that when you go to beg for money, people will not be able to say, but wait, now you can't be coming here to beg me for money, and then you're showing all this wasteful spending. So the president has to have a political spin on this thing to show that he's demonstrating some level of fiscal discipline. Now, I would like to see him go beyond that. Like you mentioned, there are other areas that could get caught even big. Again, behind the scene, my brother, listen to me, Dennis, what goes into gas coupon? What goes into gas coupon for the current government agencies and ministries? What goes into scratch card? What goes into public vehicles that people misuse in the banner and then carry home and say that they got it on auction? Government had to get them new ones. Those that's going to be a fixed asset purchase, and then government is supposed to pay, but we pay every year in the budget for the same. We're buying the same thing that come in the budget every single year. We're buying the same desk, the same table, the same chairs, right? And those are the things that are hurting us the most. So I think we can save bigger if we show a more genuine sense of, if the president means well for Liberia to handle the most mounting priorities, then we should get rid of those things that, somebody take a generator behind her shouldn't be burning $3,000 gasoline every month, right? Those are things we need to look at, and there's bigger things to that. Cut down some of the wasteful salaries. Stop keep appointing people to government when you already got the minister proper. You got a deputy for this, the deputy for that, the deputy for this, the deputy. Then you come down to the assistant minister for this, the other assistant minister for this, and then you come down and say director for the same thing, director for the. By the time you come down the list, I mean, all the money is spent on wasteful spending that we should use to decentralize and have ministries cut across our different counties rather than having one office full of 5 persons doing the same job, Dennis.
The new job, I hope you're not trying to talk about Mark Jabate, assistant minister.
Moderator, 30 seconds.
Yes. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I'll try to differ a bit with my fellow panelists, especially Evis and Dr. Pearson. I think there's a clear demarcation between governance and institutional discipline. So if we are saying here that there's a secret project going on somewhere, we don't know about it. It is a matter of investigation. That has nothing to do with institutional discipline. That has something to do with transparency, accountability, if you have the fact to present. But the question I really want to ask here is that the president traveling with his entourage, is it large, so large to have huge burden on the taxpayer? Or some government officials are just loosely leaving the country and going on safari? So even the directive, I read a directive, all right? So there are two different things we're talking about here. So I'm a little bit confused because when I read the directive, so my question was, is it the entourage? Is it large? Is it small? Or people are just living loosely and going on their own with the president without the president acquiescence, you see? So even when Dr. Pearson is mentioning the issue of the bureaucracy is very large, I agree with you, but that is the constitutional structure we are having. These things did not exist by chance. They exist by policy. Should we cut them down? Because if the president's argument is that he's introducing institutional discipline, then my question now is, you have to put corruption under control, because you may not even travel for 2 years, but there are a lot of loopholes.
Thank you, Dr. Mallon.
30 seconds, please.
I don't think there's any disagreement here.
There's a little disagreement I want to point out in just in 30 seconds. I think, Dr. Balo, with all due respect, you're right that, the main discussion is about institutional, discipline, right? But here, the fiscal discipline with that 4-year, villas is the fact that it's alleged to be around $10 million, even if it's $5 million, right? That money could have went to helping the University of Liberia, right? To make sure that it's upgraded, even spending that money at JFK. Why spend such a large amount of money, I hate to say it, in a forest on places that on units that's rarely probably going to be used? So that's a waste of our public funds. That money should have been spent on the Liberian people, not to build villas in the jungle somewhere in Lofa where people will barely go there to stay there. So I think it's a waste of our money. It's not good fiscal discipline. That's the point I was making.
Thank you. I want us to move on to our next issue, which is the two bills that were submitted. President Boakai submitted two bills, two bills, anti-corruption and justice bill. Let me read what the president said. He said he has formally submitted two major legislative proposals to the national legislature aimed at strengthening accountability, advancing justice, and reinforcing rule of law in Liberia. The bills were transmitted to the leadership of the legislature, including the Speaker, Honorable Rachel Kuhn, and the Senate Pro Tem, Yombli Kanga Lawrence, for deliberation. The two proposed pieces of legislation are: 1, an act establishing a war and economic crimes court; 2, an act adopting the Title 17A of the Liberian Code of Law revised, establishing the National Anti-Corruption Court. President Boakai noted that enacting this bill would, 1, strengthen the rule of law and accountability mechanism, enhance public confidence in governance institutions; 3, address historical injustices and economic crimes, improve transparency in public administration, and align with the international justice and anti-corruption standards. My question is, and I will begin with you, Mr. Nambwe. What gap in the Liberia's justice system do these bills address specifically? What do you think?
No.
Before I even come to that, were you surprised at the bills that you think they already existed?
But that is the point I was also making about the previous topic, that everybody in Liberia knows before you leave the country as a government official, you have to get permission from the nation. It has been there forever, And so, yes, these bills too, I don't know if we can call them, anything new. Look, I'm really struggling here to give credit to this government because I think they've done something, but I'm hard pressed, and I think they really are hustling For
Mr. Number, this were pronouncements or how you call them, executive orders, stuff like that. Now they want to put them into law. I think that's what the president is doing.
Okay, I will pass.
That's a Pearson.
Dr. Pearson?
Dr. Pearson, how do they align, these two bills align with Liberia's long-standing challenges in the rule of law and prosecution?
First of all, then is the fundamental challenge it's going to address is the issue of impunity. And this is very near to my heart because, like I always say, when it comes to the whole thing, how to do the war in Liberia, I lost my father. Up to now, I don't even know where he was buried. All right. Every time I have to repeat that statement, it's sad to me, right? But you see, I think what bothers me is that you cannot be discussing something so fundamental, so consequential to the lives of over 250,000 people who died, all right, family members and loved ones, and we don't even know where to find the website of the Office of War and Economic Crimes Court. We don't even we're talking about two bills being brought for by the president, to. Are you guys hearing me? It looks like I'm off. Are you hearing me?
You're kind of breaking a little bit. It's
so
like,
you were talking.
Did you borrow everything?
Yeah, we're talking two bills. I think so. And I think President Boakai playing on my line.
Yeah, please.
But let me switch to another router in my house. Let somebody else go before me. I'll come back. One second.
Yeah, let me go to Samuel. Samuel, could these bills become political tools depending on who controls those institutions? Because sometimes, let me stop there before I give you a clue.
No, okay, yeah. So the entire bill itself. So which of the yardstick, if we didn't have the corruption court, which of the yardstick they use it to prosecute Samuel Tuwe? We already have this code within the Liberia justice system. For me, this government is not, when it comes to the rule of law, in my book, there is no rule of law in the rescue government book. The LRRC guy, the Wozi that was fired for corruption, we have all the evidence. Where is he? Was he prosecuted? No. So yes, they will be used as a political tools. And you talk about the War Economic Crime Court. We have the department of that already. And you have the counselor the other time saying that, in fact, he accused the justice minister of even blocking the entire process. So, yes, they will use it the same way they are using it now. They fire Wozi, but he's free today. Probably he's somewhere enjoying the money that he took. But Samuel Tuwe is the person that we are prosecuting from previous government. But in our own government, we have many people that we have fired for corruption, but we fail to prosecute them. So regardless of whether we have the economic crime today, probably they're going to let Bob Naked go, say he support the rescue government, and they're going to go after those ex-combatants that support George Weah, and then Bob Naked will be considered as a child soldier. Maybe I think that's what will happen. So yes, to answer your question, I would say they will use them as a political tool.
Why if somebody said you sound like a CDC supporter, what will you say?
Well, I'm not a CDC. I'm not a seditian. I'm not a Weah. I'm a fan of Weah. That different thing. A fan of Weah, I can criticize him, but I will support him when anything that he does that is not right. I'll criticize him. I'm not sounding the sedition. I'm actually sounding the Liberian, because the War and Economic Crime Court, I actually won that. I agree with Dr. Pearson here. I'm a victim of this war. At 10 years old, I saw my aunt tortured, raped, and killed. So we want this to come. But the problem here is, will it be fair? Which, of course, I doubt, because we are going to use The same yardstick we are using today to prosecute Samuel Toy and let these other people go, the same yardstick we're using to prosecute the Capitol building arson, because we have no CC camera, but we let McGill go because we have no CC camera to prosecute him. But we have director evidence that says yes, he raped. But because we have no CC camera, we have the police IG dismissing the case instead of the prosecutor dismissing the case. So yes, I'm not talking like a sedition, I'm talking like a Liberian.
Thank you. Dr. Pearson, you still get Evans' microphone or?
No, I got my own Mac. I got my own internet now. I'm using everything.
Okay, go ahead. Your response.
So you see, Dennis, this is what I would say. Just to throw some light on what Sam was just saying. So yeah, they want economic crimes court. It's important because another reason it's important not just to address impunity. There are some crimes that we don't have the jurisdiction right now in our laws to prosecute, like war crimes, crimes against humanity. You know, those crimes cannot be prosecuted on our jurisprudence. Another thing is that this hybrid is going to be a hybrid court. This hybrid court is going to incorporate the United Nations involvement. So it's going to be a special court in a way that we're going to have international assistance with lawyers and prosecutors and some of the forensic equipments and tools that we may not have, and access to other law enforcement techniques that we may not have. So yeah, there's a lot to come to the table, right? Having a national economic crimes court gives us a specialized court that will move beyond a judge with just a general knowledge of economic crimes to a much more specialized judge with experience in prosecuting economic crimes. So yeah, there are a lot of differences and improvement that will come to our jurisprudence as a result of this. But this is my concern I'll try to raise from the beginning. Why is it that we don't have a website of the Office of the War Crimes Court? If we don't have a website of that office, why is that office now hosted on one of our major platforms? Maybe be the Executive Mansion website, but a special page for it, or maybe a Ministry of Foreign Affairs, maybe a special, or Justice Ministry website, a special page for it. Why is it that the bills that we're talking about that got handed over to the legislature, why is it not available? Like, we're discussing these bills and I have not seen them. I'm reaching out to friends in Liberia, in the legal section, in the legislature. Nobody even willing to show them to me, but yet they say in a committee room. So then I'm saying to myself, how do you decide for me? How do you plan for me? And we're looking at transparency, fairness, and justice must be executed in a way like Sam is saying. How do I know that I'm part of this process, that it's a collective process, that my voice can be heard? Now, I'm asking myself, sitting here, Dennis, where's the starting point for the prosecution in terms of the scope of the prosecution? From what point to what point are they going to be targeting, right? What's the scope? You know, all of these things are not, we don't have these things. Tomorrow we'll just wake up one and say they pass a law, and then we'll start talking about repeating the law. You know, it's like maybe Rampias will say, I don't like the law, repeal the law. And now instead of us prosecuting people, now we're talking about repealing the law. Like the TRC report. The TRC report came out with a general consensus. So we spend more time talking about the fault of the TRC report than implementing the TRC report. Are we going to do the same thing again? I'm wary, Dennis. I'm wary. It's heartbreaking. It's very heartbreaking, Dennis.
Yeah, and Elvis, the transparency question Dr. Pearson raised is very important. Even if you look at the travel restrictions, I mean, even now, can we get report if a minister goes somewhere? Is there anywhere we're going to go and read that, okay, this is what the minister went on, this is how much was spent, this is what being achieved as a result. So if we don't have transparency, it is so difficult to kind of measure or monitor these things. But my question to you is, are these reforms enforceable or are they just aspirational?
Well, I think for me personally, I'm excited about these two proposed bills. I think the court, especially for corruption, That's very important. And I think the fact that the president wants to establish it, it shows intent, and we
But
should
would it
applaud.
be the same kuku jumuku you talk about, or would everything be transparent?
I mean, he's trying to formulate an instrument to fight corruption. This only furthers that fight against corruption, because if you have a specialized court for those who are accused of corruption, and they don't have to clog or get bogged down with the regular court system, and that's a special a court that's probably going to expedite some of these corruption trials. It's a benefit for our country. Anything that has good intention should be advocated for. Now the implementation and the effectiveness of the people who are running those courts and running the system is where the problem comes in. But I think just on the face of it, this is a good step forward. We can't allow perfection to be the enemy of progress, right? This is progression in terms of laying out the framework to fight corruption. Now once the court is established, we can see how effective and how blind justice would be, as somebody said, in terms of going after former government ministers and former government officials who were accused of being corrupt. Maybe then they can start to go after their own former officials or officials who are accused of corruption. So for me, I like it. The issue with the war crime court, again, it's in the same vein. It's almost 20 close to 30 years after our civil war, and we're finally maybe making some real progress in establishing it. But like Dr. Pearson was saying, there's some legal hiccups, because we signed to the Rome Accord, which gave those guys pretty much immunity before, I think, 2006 or something like that, which most of the war crimes happened before that time, before we signed to the Rome Statute. And then, of course, our jurisdiction, our jurisprudence doesn't allow us to, to do international courts, and you have to have the UN come in and have a special court. So when they're putting this into law, is it a special court for Liberia, like what they have with Sierra Leone, where it's like a quasi court and it's an international court that's only occupy your land, but it's really not under your jurisdiction. It's more like a United Nations or international court. That's the problem, because I think legal minds have to now kind of scan through and make sure that it's a legal instrument that is binding on the Liberian government. If it's not that, then the defendants can probably be can probably trap this whole process by going to court and arguing against the law that established the court. Because if it's illegal under our constitution, you can't try these guys for crimes committed in Liberia. So I think they have to figure out and make sure that it's not a quote unquote Liberian court, that is more of an international court that has jurisdiction in Liberia and can fight war crimes and crimes against humanity, because that's spread across the entire globe. It's not just specific to one location. So for me, I'm more excited about the corruption court, because I think coming in the years where maybe more corruption trials will be held, like what we have with Samuel Toy and maybe others coming down the pipeline, I think that court will have more autonomy and perhaps will have more support of the Liberian people, because I think that's one of the things that many Liberians want to see: corrupt or alleged corrupt officials being prosecuted and having a specialized court for that. I think it's a good thing for the country.
Thank you. Dr. Mali, are we
So,
fixing?
Evis, I wanted to ask Evis. So, because we don't have the specialized courts, those that we have been firing for corruption, we just have to let it be for now.
No, that's how I agree with you, right? That this court here will probably allow them to, number one, fast track corruption case, because it's only going to be dealing with corruption matters. It's not going to be dealing with criminal, or corruption is criminal, but like regular crimes and civil cases in the regular court system. And also, they too will probably have, I'm just going to put this in there. They have to have special processes, right? They have to make sure they sequester every jury that's going to be in these cases, so they don't have the allegation that we have with Samuel Toy, where maybe they would temper with, put him aside, lock him up, send him to send him to the what I think in the
RLJ.
Kennedy, yeah, the Kennedy Resort, put them in there for 1 month. They would have did with the lawmakers, and sequester them, make sure that no outside influence is put upon them, and that way all of these corruption cases will be fairly tried, and the verdict will be seen as fair to the Liberians, who are monitoring.
Thank you. Dr. Mali, are we fixing the system, or are we simply renaming them? And I ask this question because what was For instance, what would this anti-corruption code do that we couldn't do before because we didn't have it, right? Or we just simply renaming things?
Well, I think we trying as a people and as a government to please the international community. That's the first thing. And secondly, I think I want to bring 3 antecedents to bear here. Our war ended almost 23 years now, since 2003. We have government changing hands 3 times. And His Excellency is part and parcel of one of those governments that had the longest longevity politically, 12 years. And the second thing is that we had this TRC that died mysteriously on his watch. All right? Up to today, there were politics that helped to suffocate the TRC, that lay the groundwork for what should have happened ever since. Now we're talking about war and economic crime code. It's even more complicated right now. The second antecedent here is this. Look at the characteristic of the house. Look at the composition of the house. These are the people who are going to pass war economic crime code, when most of them are even practitioners and convert indirectly in these lines? These are the people that are going to pass this thing. And the third one here is that the same house passed a law and put corruption on trial. They had a cap on corruption. All right? After a certain year, you cannot investigate corruption anymore. In the president's sona, he said, no, it has to be removed. But here is the question. It's not a question of passing laws or pushing these laws. It's a question of enforcement. Do we have the willpower? The War Economic Crime Code cannot survive in Liberia in the absence of systemic judicial reform in the first place. That's the first condition. All right? Even the anti-corruption law, the passing, even, look, I mean, we have seen what's happening in Liberia right now. We're seeing the drama. Court cannot even convict people. Okay? Jurors are all being, they're all, a lot of different news, people bribing jurors and all kinds of things. So until we can even refine this error and reform the judiciary and get somebody all guard out of the whole system, all these things are going anywhere. Because some of the very people that we supposed to come and respond to these things, some of them are sitting in the house. Some of them are already guilty. All right? So this is just a waste of time. We need to visit the TRC and ask ourselves why the TRC died mysteriously under His Excellency President Boakai and his boss watch, because they lay a very good platform for us to follow. It got killed somewhere in between there. Now it has been metamorphosed now with a different term, War Economic Crime Code. Really? Are we serious?
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Namwe, if these reforms are real, what changes should Liberians expect within the next 12 months? You're muted, sir.
No, I'm sorry. I was saying I took a pass on this, but first of all, let me express sympathies to my colleagues here who have expressed how they were affected personally by the conflict, and of course all of us who one way or the other continue to be re-traumatized. But look, I like to. I was one of the first people when the president announced here. I was marked on this very set because I was ecstatic, if I should say, excited, that the president had done this thing, but it's been almost 2 years now. That's why I really didn't want to, go there. But I think it's serious if these bills are given the seriousness that they deserve, support, the enabling environment. I think they will do a lot of good. The War and Economic Crimes Code, we all know a lot of people have not seen closure. Our colleagues just mentioned some of their situations here, right? I think a lot of people are looking for closure. There has to be a way for us, to reach closure on what happened. A lot of people suffered, and still continue to suffer. So yeah, if the crimes code is given the support that it deserves, I think it could do a lot of good. I mean, there are examples, all over the world where people have done this.
But,
wrong.
Victor, before you continue, right?
Right.
What steps? What are the things that you are saying? That tells you that when these things have been, put into place as laws, that anything going to change, right? So if we see some reforms, or if we see people, the little justice and peace court, the magistrate, if we see something there working, if cases are being prosecuted, if justice is blind. So what are some of the things that you're seeing now that tells you that indeed, if we have a war and economic crimes code, if we have a corruption code, things will be different?
Yeah, I hate to, sound like I'm down on here, but the truth of the matter is I don't see anything. Look, we know from the Prophet Key and Judy Andy case from the inception of this government, the finger has been on the scale. And so whether we allow, during the time of this government for the War and Economic Crimes Code to make any impact, I'm struggling to visualize that. But if this were to be pursued genuinely, right? Some of the people right now in the political space have no business being there. Most of these people are criminals. They will be with that. They have to be taken out. Some of them, the cash violence they're using is nothing but loot that they stole from other people. And they've continued to use. Some of these people have been in government 20 years. Some have been in government 18, 15, 20 years. Now, you and I know some of these people will never have come anywhere near government on their own making, but we know how they got there. And so the people who are looking at these people, and how do we think they're feeling, knowing that some of these people dispossess them of their inheritance, and they're using these ill-gotten, gains to perpetuate themselves in power. So I think this is one of the things that will be resolved by, if the crimes code were to be pursued. What about anti-corruption? Nyamane spent over almost $500,000 renovating the Ministry of Internal Affairs. What has come out of it? Absolutely nothing. He is still in the government. James Momo was at MCSS. I honestly, he's sitting here in Philadelphia. We know the story. Before the president came into office, what about the NASCAR money? Do you think this is a serious government that is really prepared to prosecute corruption? I don't think so. I'm hoping that they will leave a legacy that other people will find, they will build on. But I don't see anything materializing in this government. I don't think so. So that's why I said I will take a pass, but I'm crossing my finger if they can establish the foundation, the framework, so that others do not have to start all over. That would have been a great gain for this government. But as to see anything to its logical conclusion, I'm not going to hold my breath under this government.
Thank you. It's been, and let us conclude with this. I just want a short yes or no answer on this one. It's been, since the war ended, how many years now? We have had the 2 term of the Unity Party government, 1 term of the CDC government. We have Unity Party 2.0, and war crimes code, economic crimes code, and all these things. I mean, it's like people now serious. For those of us, my father was around 77 years old in Sino in the forest when he was killed by LPC rebel because he couldn't run as fast as the younger person. My aunt was being carried in a wheelbarrow. The people got tired, so they left her hidden somewhere, so they would come back. By the time they could be back, she was cut into pieces, and she was like in her 70s as well. So the continuous, people talking about war crimes code, it appears to some of us like, they kill your parent, they're telling you, woe be. Do you guys don't feel that way, that these people are mocking us who are victims and of this? Do you really don't feel that this is a mockery that is never going to come, but we are using it, just to
Political tools.
right, just to keep the talk being there, so that people will say, yeah, you're doing something. It's like we're in a rocking chair. We keep busy, but we're not going anywhere. What's your general take? Do you think that this is a political will be to most of us, Evers?
Yeah, probably because you don't remember the Nimadian. Oh, okay, sorry, Ever.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead. You got it, man, now.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Yeah, so that you see, like the Nimadians are blaming the government of pressuring the war crime code earlier on Prince Johnson, and so the government is also saying that maybe they're trying to prove a political point that no, it's not because of Prince Johnson we were breaking the war economic crime code. Remember, 2029 is coming. It could be, but for me, I agree with 100% with Mr. Nambi that I still want to see what this government is actually going to do with this bill. It's a good bill.
Thank you.
We are not just going to thank you.
Thank you, Evers.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. John, you just dampened my mood with your story. I was excited about it, but now I should be more apprehensive. But look, I think I'll harp back on this and say that the anti-corruption court, is like a trap that the United Party is setting for themselves. Because I think if they lose the next election, for example, the next government has to use that court, that very instrument, to prosecute alleged corrupt, officials from this current government. But in regards to the war crimes court, like, I'm a young man, relatively, and I've somewhat lost interest in that court because the most vicious, perpetrators are on their last legs if they're not already dead. We can think of a few of them who are still maybe middle age or getting up to the mid 50s, and those are probably not the most egregious people who committed atrocity. So I think the thing when it comes to the war crime court, don't get mad at this current administration. I think Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, as many people have said, hold the biggest, you know, um, what's the word? She holds the biggest disdain, when it comes to people who could have implemented it. But it was Liberia's people own, our own fault. We knew she was implicated in war, and she supported the war, but we elected her. We was running frenzy around the country that we elected a new Iron Lady, knowing that this person participated in our war and financing the war, making egregious statement about leveling, the executive mansion and people going into Monrovia and, sitting in France, helping Charles to start the war. All of those things, Liberian people overlooked it and they voted her in. And then at the same token, we expected her to prosecute herself and allow the justice to come to her. And it's only human nature that preservation that she was going to protect herself. So we can't blame President Boakai. He didn't have the power to override her to establish the court, outside of her consent. So for me, I think maybe for some people who are younger, and maybe those perpetrators who are still young enough that if they get 20 years in jail, that sentence will be meted out. Take somebody like George Bowley. George Bowley is, I think, he's probably just hanging on to life right now, right? If you give him 20 years, maybe less than 3 years, he'll be dead. If the court even can prosecute him before he dies, I know he's in poor health. The likes of Prince Johnson, who's already gone, the likes of some others like the foreign defense minister Daniel Cheer, who is still gallivanting and showing muscle in Grand Bassa County. Somebody like him who is probably in good health and maybe at a reasonable age, if you give him 20 years, maybe that'll be justice served. Well, as that old saying, justice delayed is justice denied, and for a lot of Liberians, justice has been delayed and thereby effectively denied to them. So for me, I'm less excited about the court And I'm more excited about the war crimes court, and I'm more excited about the corruption court, because I think it's an instrument that could be used effectively by a competent government in the future, or even this government, if they tend to wake up and start to prosecute anybody who is corrupt or allegedly corrupt, whether it's in their government or past administration. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's time is fast spent, but Dr. Pearson, just one sentence on my question. This whole dangling war crimes code in front of us all the time without getting anywhere, it's painful to me personally.
Then I agree with you. It is painful. One of the questions I would like to ask, like, for example, who are there to be prosecuted? Majority of the people then that we look forward to have been prosecuted or to face judgment, a lot of them are either dead or too old to even stand on trial. If they stood there, it would be like you see him playing mockery. But again, I sent you a picture. I don't know if you're able to put it up, but if you can, no problem. But let me tell you what gave me some courage. I heard Dr. Made trying to have some doubts about whether this is going anywhere. I sat with Bishop Ompa, Christian Ompa, the head of the TRC for Sierra Leone, in 2012 to interview him when I was writing my master's thesis. And I asked him, I said, in our country, we're trying to prosecute people who fought war and caused us harm, like Sierra Leone have done. So I asked him, I said, what do you think is going to be the greatest challenge to us? He said, my son, forget that thing is not going anywhere. And I said, why? He said, because first of all, your president is on the list. And when he said it, I was like, Bishop Ompa, he said, my son, that TRC report is not going anywhere. And I left when there was my thesis, came home, wrote it, and carried the LU, and they put it in there. They put it in the library, and away it been gathering dust up to now. All of the warlords became millionaires in the country. All the warlords became millionaires in the country. Look at me now, looking skinny and dry.
Yeah, look at you now. I was saying, if you enjoy America, you don't get fatter up.
That was 2012. I was passionate to get at the bottom of our hurt, our bitterness, our pain. I took my own money, went to Sierra Leone to do my master's research, to talk to all of the parties in Sierra Leone. How did they achieve the TRC process successfully to even prosecute people? And the old man says, my son, go home. You guys are not going to achieve it. But another thing he said to me, I will say here tonight for anyone listening to me and to Dr. Malley. He said, my son, pray. He said, pray that if you were to ever do a court in your country, let it be linked to the United Nations. He said, because if it is linked to the United Nations, I will say this to you. He said, we sat here Sierra Leoneans. He said, the guy who rescued us from the RUF rebel and took back Freetown from the RUF rebel, we had to prosecute him because we had no choice. Because the international law had to stand.
And who was that guy? Was it who?
Sir Inga Norman.
Okay.
Sir Inga Norman. Sierra Leoneans prosecuted that guy for war crimes, and they were crying prosecuting him. He redeemed Sierra Leone from RUF, and they prosecute him for the crimes committed by his men. He said, pray for you. So when I hear United Nations getting involved in this thing, I have hope that Mount Ellen Johnson will stand trial. I have hope that Bud Nickey will stand trial. I have hope that we'll go to Prince Johnson grave and put a chain around it.
You got Roland Duo there, Zita Massa there. You got a few people that still,
around it and try to get an extension.
You got something on that.
The chain remain there. The family can visit a grave. Nobody can visit a grave. Nobody can clean it. Nobody can do nothing there until the tenure for that court service that they guilty for be served. And last but not the least, I say this because it's passionate to me. I will say this. Some people will say, do we have the willpower to do this? I think President Boakai has the willpower to do this. And I think he will see it through. And I pray he does.
Just quickly.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I agree with my brother here, but I'd like to add, I think if we imagine that the outcome will be incarceration of people alone, then we would have misunderstood the intent of the court. I think physical incarceration could be part of it, but and some of these people could be convicted posthumously. I think there's nothing wrong with it. I think it's a matter of righting what was done wrong. I think that's what this is about, and therefore I foresee incarceration. I also foresee expropriation. I foresee reparations. There are people who stole people's property that they still sit on, and that don't belong to them. They have to give it up. I think those are the kind of things I am looking at. Yes, reconciliation, I get it. We will never be able to make each other whole 100%. But there has to be some kind of accountability. So I agree with my brother here that many of the people may not have been around by the time this thing is set up. But like I said, like he rightly said, even if it means that some of these people's graves carry, the markings of the deeds they did while they were here on earth, I think if that is going to bring closure to some people, I think then that is what is going to happen. But, because some of them may not be with us physically, I don't think it should necessarily dampen the effort. I think it should be pursued, And so, but this president, like Elvis said, there are a lot of us who had hope because of all of the people who have led the Liberia post-conflict. I think he's the only person who has not been mentioned in any conflict that I've heard of. President Johnson was mentioned in the conflict. President Weah was, And so all of these people have been mentioned at one time or another in some kind of conflict, but Boakai has never been mentioned. So therefore,
they mentioned they tell you are part of the local defense force.
All right.
No, I sure they say the people busy.
I heard a rumor,
but anyway, so a lot of us really were hopeful that this president, but then again, we have to be realistic because there were political entanglements, all kinds of making deal with the devil, the expression. So I wish to be surprised by what is happening. Maybe we shouldn't be.
Thank you. Dr. Malo, you have 10 seconds to comment on this and then we move on.
I think we all seem to be very hopeful, but someone says something here that when the Christmas will be fabulous, you'll tell from the eve. The 12 years, there's the open corruption story about Her Excellency song breaking down local. Now the vice president is now president fighting corruption. That had not been mentioned one day. That's
the statute of limitations. 5 years after they leave office, you can't prosecute them for it.
Well, what a statute of limitation. But here is the issue. If we can't go that far, there is no way, in my own thinking, that President Boakai will allow Helen Johnson Sirleaf to take the stage when this court is in motion. I don't see that future. Maybe it'll be under different government, but
he won't have the discretion, Dr. Malo, to see who can go on trial, who can't.
Thank you.
Yes. There are too many political compromises on this thing for which I strongly believe it's a good idea, but it's remote indeed.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Addie Tyler from Pennsylvania, and you're watching Focus on Liberia.
That takes us to our next topic, which is the audit. The General Auditing Commission praises President Boakai for an audit-friendly environment. Dr. Pearson, did you watch that press conference? Is the GAC? Let me read that. Let me read a little bit on that so you can hear for yourself. Is it President Boakai? It happened at the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf Ministerial Complex. The General Auditing Commission, through its Auditor General, Honorable P. Goswell Jackson Sr., has honored President Joseph Boakai for creating an enabling audit environment void of political influence and inducement that strengthens the Commission to independently function with transparency and integrity. The Auditor General averred the President Boakai demonstrated commitment to accountability, transparency, and institutional independence that strengthened governance when he commissioned an audit of the Office of the Presidency. Dr. Malo, you are smiling. What does that mean when the Auditing Commission honor the President and say, Papa, thank you, you have created an audit-friendly environment. What does that tell you?
Well, I think this takes me back to our last discussion. This is an audit team that should have no friend in the government or in its governance. There should be no friendship. So I think it was conflict of interest. I don't know, or political solidarity or loyalty, but I think it was just pure wrong. Probably they would have channeled this thing through other organizations to do it rather than they taking the stage. I mean, now I can surmise that there could be so many compromises coming with the other team, even though the president had created an enabling environment for them to move, but they are the wrong spokesperson to praise the president on this. You see, this institution is supposed to be independent, not to even press the Supreme Court or even the Justice Minister, but go ahead and do your work, and history will judge you. But coming to press the president, I see so many compromises coming into the picture in the future.
Dr. Pearson.
Go ahead, Daniel. Go ahead.
Do you think the whole idea of the president creating an enabling environment, does that make sense to you?
You see, then is when somebody tell you say the palm is red, right? You can tell by how many birds in the palm tree going there every now and then. But if you see people picking up old palm from the ground, trust me, everything up there already rotting. I say this to say that the Auditor General, since he got in under President Boakai, has not demonstrated to me any viable, strong audit pattern of the current administration. So let me give you an example of what I mean. President Boakai took office in 2024. We're now in 2026. 2024, 2025, we're now in 2026. We're going to the end of 3 years in office. What substantive audit reports are there to show concerning the performance of the Boakai administration, President Boakai's administration, from the auditing department or from the auditing commission? That alone tells me that what Dr. Malley is saying, his skepticism is justified. That you are showing patronage, you are showing patronage, and you are here to tell your boss, thank you for the patronage, because he kept you on the job. He fired like the central bank governor. He has not fired you yet. He has not fired a lady from fishery. He has not fired you yet. He has not fired you like the guys in from LTA. He has not fired you yet. He has not fired like the guys in from NOCA. He has not fired you. So he have not suspended you like he did with the lady from the election commission who lost credibility, and she said, I mean, just move from here before my tongue and even finish Google. So you know, he has created an atmosphere where people have protected roles in government, especially GAC is one of the only institutions that have its autonomy established in the Constitution itself. It's embedded within the Constitution that it should be autonomous, able to perform independent of the executive influence for any political reason. Now he's turned to a cheering squad of the presidency. So, you know, I mean, until maybe I can see that he can come up with audits of the government from 2024, 2025 that are strong enough with some level of credibility, then I can say something. I'll close on this by saying this. Someone will say, but all the men dealing with all audits. Here, the Constitution does not provide him the mandate to deal with all audits. It provides him a mandate to deal with annual fiscal audit of different branches of government selectively as he will find reason to do so, to help bring some level of maturity and discipline to the government. Now, the years that he allowing to lapse, if President Boakai having some missteps, if his government having missteps, when will they correct it? After 4 years in being in office, before you tell them, oh, you made some mistake in 2024, you go correct it. When 2024, we are now in 2026. He could have set up a team of auditors and say, you deal with the past, and let the guys keep doing their job on an annual basis. Until then, I mean, it's just the Liberia we have right now. I hope we can have someone like Mr. Cummings who can do it better, because you understand what it means to have segregation of roles. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you. Elvis,
Yeah,
I want to get your take on this. And my question to you is, what good is audit report if we can enforce anything?
right. So look, I don't think this is out of place. I think what this was a subtle, a subtle jab at the previous administration, right? Because auditors were running for the hills, so to speak, allegedly in the past administration with the mysterious death of I think three auditors that died mysteriously and their death was never really.
And I don't think we should be saying that anymore, right? Because up to now, the government in power has not been able to prosecute any of that
No,
or
no, I
investigate.
know that, but I'm saying that death itself was mysterious, right? So those who were auditors in government, they were perhaps apprehensive and maybe even a bit jittery that government may come after them because they've seen what happened in the previous administration. At least that probably what they're thinking.
Was there
But
anyone from the GAC who died?
well, again, I said auditors. I'm not talking specifically
No,
from
no,
that.
I'm just trying to remember.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know there was Gifty, Lama, and Albert, something Pierre. Well, I don't remember his name, but those two people were auditors, and I think they were auditing some ministry in the government. But it was alleged that they had an affair and they died in a car, and on some street in Liberia. Of course, we had the other guy. What is his name? The guy that fell from the balcony,
I think yes, sir.
Yinswa, who died mysteriously. Was also an auditor. So I think three, high profile auditors dying, left a lot of other, people in that profession afraid for their safety. So
Should
I
the
think
Auditor General be saying this, or the other people
that's what
that
I'm
have
saying. I think it was a jab at the
the
previous administration that at least we can feel free and we can do our work without intimidation or the fear that we might be targeted. Whether or not the former government did anything to those auditors, at least that's the sentiment that I got from it. But I think this might be a premature appreciation because, like Dr. Pearson and others were saying, the cat will have to eat his own baby at one point in time because they're going to have to audit this government because after you finish doing all the previous audits of the previous administrations, now you got to audit the current administration, and that's when the conflict comes into play because if it's not the president, it's going to be people higher up in government, maybe the vice president who may tell you, well, that was for covert operation. That $3 million was for something that we had to send money to our secret service agency to do some work for us outside of the country or whatever the case may be. And that's when the auditors become the enemy of the state because they now have a report that points to some form of corruption and misappropriation of our monies, but the powers that be don't want that report to come out. So now the auditors becomes enemy of the government, and that I think that's probably what happened in the previous administration, and maybe not President Weah, but others maybe had it out for those people who potentially had the ability to expose their corruption or their alleged corruption. So for now, let's see how it goes. We want to hear audit report from our previous administration. I'm not sure if they put out any audit report about President Boykai's last 2 or 3 years in power and how they spend our country's money, and if there's been any appropriation or irregularities when it comes to our money being spent. We haven't seen any report to that regard. So all we're seeing is they scrutinized everything that Samuel Tour did and the former administration, and they felt like they had a good case, and that case fell apart. So let's see what happens, in the next couple of years with audits of this current administration.
Then just 30 seconds pushback, just a little pushback for 30 seconds. Look, Elvis, look, we empathize with any family member who lost their relative as a result of any accusation of auditors being killed, clear and square. But if you have a constitutional mandate to do a fiscal audit, it's in the Constitution of the Republic of Liberia. That's the highest document in the land. That you should conduct a fiscal audit annually of the government to keep them on track. And you do not have quality audits posted, audit report posted on your website as we speak. I was just there because when Dennis put up the list, I went straight to the website to go see if there's a current audit from the government for 2024, 2025, at least to see what they have looked at. Zero. So then on what basis is telling the president thank you? Which working environment he commending the president for?
Maybe they're preoccupied with the former administration. They got to go back and do all the audits again, make sure it's up to par.
Oh, okay.
No, but Elvis, I mean, we got to be very realistic here. Let me just let the retrospect a bit. When John Molu was hired by the EU to come and begin audit in Liberia, and openly said that Her Excellency, the former president, was the most corrupt. He lost his bid. She refused to recommend him to come back. All right. So what we're seeing here is that, just what you said, it's in the Constitution, like Dr. Piatin said, it's in the Constitution. People should do auditing. I don't see the future where the executive mansion audit will be analyzed in auditing report. I don't see that future. Not at all.
That burden lies on the legislature, right? They're supposed to hold these auditors to account and ask them why they're not putting out, yearly fiscal audits of our agencies.
They are all. I mean, they are all in the same cohort. It's not possible. You know the house. You know the story.
Are you saying they're all part of NIMBO? But Mr. Namwe, Mr. Namwe, does the praise reflect actual independence or political courtesy?
I'm sorry, the what represent?
The praise for President Boakai is being honored.
Right. By the gag.
Or political courtesy?
I think it's pandering. Look, I think it's Dr. Jones or Elvis who's mentioning it, and I think Dr. Pearson as well. I think Liberia is the only place where we celebrate auditing. I mean, this is really it's supposed to be routine, right? And we make audit, seem like you're being prosecuted or anything like that. No, I think it should be a normal process, And the fact that we are honoring this government, for what? For doing what they are constitutionally, statutorily responsible to do. I don't get that, other than the same thing we saw at the recent White House cabinet meeting, where to a person, was lavishing the president with praise and all that. It's the same sacrifice we see in Liberia. I don't understand what is it that they're honoring the president about. What is the other report that they're honoring the president about? What about it? Have they ever audited the executive mansion?
They're praising him about the freedom to do their job, an enabling environment. That's what they're praising him about.
Oh,
so are they measuring independence by access or by outcomes? Most of the time we celebrate processes and not outcomes.
Yeah, I think we're celebrating pastoring,
But what specific action do you think by the president
let me tell you,
commendation?
It's serious. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about commendation, but let me tell you, a serious audit, right? The outcome of that is to find out how the resources were expended, right? And if they were expended good, we thank the person who served, and they go their merry way. If it is found that resources were misappropriated, it is to restitute. How many people are restituting anything in Liberia? How many people? So what is this whole hullabaloo about audit? Audit about what? To send Samuel Tuet to the Justice Ministry? Is that what audit is supposed to be about? To demean the previous your predecessor. Yes, thank you for Dennis. That is not what audit is supposed to be about. I don't think that's what it's supposed to be about, because and you can see here in the rush to play gotcha with this man, they continue to fumble. $6.2 million case is a gun up. Now they're moving on to the next shiny object, which is 20-point-something million. So yeah, I don't think that is what the purpose of audit is supposed to be. So if they're celebrating this president, what is it that they're celebrating him? I'm sorry, Elvis, go ahead.
Yeah, just 10 seconds. 10 seconds. I know you won't cut me off.
No, yeah, I'm cutting you off right now. But the fact that this appear on the executive mansion press release,
Yeah.
The press release, yeah, but go ahead.
Yeah, I will criticize the auditing, the General Auditing Agency, right? If that's even what it's called. That their work has been used and weaponized against political, people, personnel from the previous administration. We saw what happened with the central bank, governor.
IRS who does that.
Right, the audit was used to get him out and then settle him behind behind the house or behind, close the door, saying, effectively saying that there was really nothing there, and they only used that audit as a justifiable means to suspend him indefinitely, and then negotiate with him and get him out of there and put, President Boakai's nephew there. So every time something comes up from an audit, they use that as a, as the fulcrum to say, well, because of this, we have to suspend you. Whether or not that's going to be, taken to litigation, nobody knows, and maybe they do a back door deal, and that person is out of the out of office. So they have actually helped facilitate the president with orders that help him to remove political or tenure people from their positions. So I think actually they're kind of maybe working in cahoots. So maybe I take my praises back from there a little bit, looking at the history of orders and what is being used to do against political opponents from the previous administration.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, this is focused on Liberia Friday Night Debate. If you want to be a part, please call 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403#. Our last topic, which I want to approach differently because, the MCC scorecard, right? There is not much about it now. So while we wait for our callers to come in, let's talk briefly about the MCC scorecard. Remember when the then finance minister was dancing and singing because we passed? How honestly, how do you guys look at the MCC scorecard? If you look it came out, I think, this month, and it say Liberia, they passed 12 indicators and failed 10. You can go through what we pass and fail. Does this scorecard matter to you guys anymore? It's like it was in the news a lot during the previous administration, during the Salif administration. We're getting money. Then when we administration came, it was most of the time in the news, and we were kind of talking about it a lot. Is it at that same level now, or things wind down? Is it that people don't care anymore? It doesn't matter anymore? Or what is it about the audit? Elvis, let me start with you. This scorecard now, is it?
I think the thing here with President Weah was to show that they were incompetent, that they lacked the capacity to run the country, and they were going to fill a lot of indicators, and they didn't have the official, like Samuel 12 wasn't on the level of a Gafwan or Amar Kone, and as such they're going to fill a lot of these indicators, and to show that the previous administration was poor. But when you juxtapose that to the report, not that I hold these MCC scorecards to a high standard, but the previous administration are actually doing better than the more sophisticated, more capable government that we have in place now. I think we have scored as high as like 14 out of the 22 or whatever, and they got 12 in their current MCC. So when you're looking at competency, again, it may not show complete competency, but that's what the Unity Party was looking at it as. Like, oh, the people are incompetent, don't know what they're doing, they can't even pass the MCC. At least we got it. Look, we got it because it was a charity to Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. It was international goodwill towards her. It wasn't that we really deserved it. They were just helping us, the continuous help for our post-war, rebuilding of our country. To think that Ellen Johnson or the Amar Conan really did a fabulous job, and those guys really was, outstanding and so sophisticated and running the country in the best way, and they deserved the $500 million grant that they got. Not true. So the point here is that this current administration is doing a lot of the same things. Liberia, I would say this, right? And maybe people will probably take offense to it. Liberia is like that fine woman who living in a Zingran, but she can go outside with gold chain, with a new watch slapper on. When you see her, everybody thinks she's doing so well, but when she go home, she's living in a Zingran. Why do I say that? We care too much about the optics. People are saying silly things like, oh, we're finally proud of our country again. We're respected on the international stage. But when we are actually poorer than we've ever been, A lot of people are even suffering more than they were in the previous administration. But just the optics is good, so everybody is happy and they think we're in a better position. When in reality, our material condition is worse than it was, 5 or even 3 years ago. So the reality is, we care about optics. If we get 15 out of the 22, we think we're making progress. If we get 12, we think we retrogress. The reality is the MCC scorecard is like the white man checking your grades. The white man is kind of looking at the children in the classroom and see who's doing what and who's not doing what. The reality is good governance is felt by the people, not by some guy sitting in Switzerland or at the United Nations doing a scorecard and doing, a grading like they're grading your term paper. If the Liberian people are happy with you and their life, their material condition actually improved, and they see that the government is helping them and doing things that's going to better their life, that means you're governing well. If you're not doing that, nobody can give you 22 out of 22, and the Liberian people will be happy with you. The reality, what really matters is what the people think about your governance. And from what we're seeing, it's more of the same.
Elvis, I think the expression you're looking for is ghetto fabulous. That's
okay. Well, you know that, Mr. Now you're old school, man. I know that.
I read it up. Okay.
Mr. Number, so you took the microphone now. So I mean the MC is like you in your house, right? And somebody is telling you, okay, if you send your children to school, I give you this. If you you feed you buy your wife new laptop, you pass. And we tend to look at it, but sometimes it depends on who is in power, right? When the other guy is there, it's like it means everything. Then when the other guy is there, it means nothing. This is how I want us to look at it. Okay, we pass inflation, international market access, property and legal and land rights, regulatory quality, women in the economy, market competitiveness, health expenditure, chronic disease, personal freedom, government accountability, control of corruption, freedom of information. Then we feel rule of law, trade policy, access to credit, employment opportunity, business startup, workforce development, natural resource protection, child health, girls' primary education completion rate, government effectiveness. Does the MCC scorecard matter, or it matters depending on who is in power, if that's your friend or not your friend?
I to the extent that there was speculation that there will be a $500 million windfall. I think we know how many. Yeah, I mean, I can't count the number of times that the government announced that they were about to get $500 million. But I think this current government, the say pregnancy, you can't hide it forever, right? It will begin to show.
It can go beyond.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So, this government came in and I think everything they did, we should still do. They continue to compare themselves to the previous government. It's like you're driving forward and you're looking in the rear view mirror the whole time, So, yeah, they were talking this year, as passing the MCC, the previous government, even though the previous government passed the MCC the first time with more check marks than this current government. I think it's about 14 or so, yeah. So with all due respect to the 12 that we just passed, I think the major ones, rule of law. If the country is lawless, I don't know if anything else is really worth celebrating, So yeah, to the extent that
should we worry about what other people say about rule of law? Should that really be our concern, or what we say about our own rule of law?
Well, I mean, I think it's both. We should concern ourselves with how we govern locally, but
who giving United States MCC scorecard to see whether we're in Iran or not?
You get check your own teacher grade, Mr. John. You know that we can do it.
Yeah, there are other forces here that give them the scorecard, perception index and all of these kind of things. Right now, you're seeing this situation with Iran, all of that is getting this government nervous because people are paying too much at the pump and other places. So there are other mechanisms here that that help to keep this government here in check. We don't have some of those we don't have. And so the perception of others, especially because we are dependent on international aid. So I think it matters a lot to all when people perceive of us as being good government, everywhere, everything, hunky-dory and all of that. And I think we use that to make our pitch whenever we are on the international market. to attract people. So I think they both, I think they both are consequential. I think it should be more of what is happening internally. Are the people feeling, like Elvis said, do the people really feel that this government is worthy of passing all these check marks? I mean, how many women we can say have a lot of opportunities in Liberia than they did in the previous government? I don't know. I can almost guess that not that many. So yeah, I think that, I mean, I will leave it at that. I think it is important that the good governance is felt at the end. But again, it's also important for this country because people who we're going to hustle, they may probably be looking at the MCC cartoon. How do we do on this? And that might influence their decision to invest in Liberia or not.
Dr. Pearson, the same PhD that people got, what you got, what we all can do our own too now.
But before Dr. Pearson answer, and I'm not putting Dr. Pearson on the line, but most of these pieces of information are derived locally. The local representative, Transparency International, all of these people, they got the local people. Most of it is done by local people. They send the information out.
Dr. Pearson, we all watch Samuel Tuet dancing. Hey, Mutuken, Joy, we are Mutuken. Show Gafuan beat dancing too.
Thank you, Dennis. I think just for the benefit of the audience, it is important to recognize you asked a very salient question when you said, is this thing important? Should we depend on people grading us in order for us to be first of all, it's political on the basis that it is a political inducement to make you to govern right? So if I have a political relationship with United States want to give up money, but then they tie the money to something that will encourage you to spend the money properly, and they want you to deserve it rather than just throw it out to you. So that's the political standpoint. In country, government use it to show that they're doing well, to boast that they're getting money, and but again, Mr. Nangwe raised a very good point. We should understand that the information that inform this MCC scorecard is not the United States government going to conduct any survey in Liberia. What they do is that they pull from reports like from the World Bank, from the Freedom House, from the UNESCO, they pull from WHO. So those are data that are generated within the country. They say important. Yes, Dennis, these are very important documents. That's why you need someone like Mr. Alexander Cummings who understand what they refer to as data-driven decision-making. Because if you are running a country and you have a development partner that tells you that, listen, your child health is not being paid attention to. Your girl children primary education completion rate is very low. Something is wrong with that. Of course, when you tie health and education together, Dennis, that's the fabric, that's the foundation of any genuine society, especially when you're talking about children. Don't forget now, UNICEF, not UNICEF, but USAID was supporting a free healthcare for under 2 years or under 5 years old at JFK in government in public hospitals. Under 5, that money left, and we filled in this indicator all through when USAID was helping us, and now USAID is no longer there. If you as a leader, you see this thing, won't it motivate you more to put more money into healthcare? I gave you this illustration, right? My grandchild got delivered from with my daughter-in-law. We had to pay $64,000 at ight hospital for cesarean section for the time she was there. If you compute that into USD, it's around 300 plus USD in ight hospital, where government is paying 300 of the staffers of ight hospital salaries. But then government still failing on a child health indicator. So something is wrong with leadership. Somebody is doing things maybe impossible, out of impulse. They're spending, President Boakai said, mounting priorities, but the priority is not properly measured. And you guys are telling us, you say you want to promote people in business, but then business startup, they're telling you fill in there. You say you want to you get 70,000 youth employment. They put that in say employment opportunity, you fill in there. You say, oh, I'm managing the country money well. GSC director, the GSC boss is praising Boakai. At the same time, your fiscal management is poor. And you know, everybody say, oh, the government doing well. Then they say, oh, you failing rule of law. They say, oh, President Boakai, government doing well. They say, oh, you failing government effectiveness. So these things should put President Boakai down in check to say, listen, gentlemen, Ellen used to do this. She will say to us, you go back, everybody take an era of in this stuff there and see where we're going wrong. And you work on it for the next time so that when World Bank report, Freedom House report, UNESCO report, WHO and team report, we can come up positively. It still did not work. Why? Because at the end of the day, once the money had dropped, everybody forget about the indicators.
Okay, thank you.
And then quickly to Dr. Pearson's point, right quickly, I think our government should use this as an index instead of using it as an index of comparison to previous government. I think they should use it as a motivation. It's a mirror, right? Because we don't have too many of those things locally. So I think it really should be a motivation for them to do better instead of just using it to compare themselves, you know, and not just this government alone. Previous governments have done that. I just wanted to put that.
In the article, it says backward compatibility. You want to look back and see what are
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we're supposed to look at, look at Ghana, look at Sierra Leone, look at our neighbor and see what are we doing.
Yeah.
Or look at international best practices, what's on the average. But always, you want to compare yourself with the D and the C student. I don't think you're going to go anywhere.
Who said the prior administration was D or C student, Mr. John?
You know, President, we didn't do quite well. So
that's a solid job. I got it for you. I see it.
Very strong on that.
Yeah, I know. I mean, if we continue to use President Weah administration as a benchmark, then we'll always give the current government, they well. We got the comparison. We compare yourself with C student. Come on.
Okay.
But let me go to. I want to throw out all my questions and then Dr. Male and the rest of you can take them one at a time. Why does Liberia continue to fail fiscal policy and government effectiveness? Does the Boakai administration have a credible path to securing an MCC compact? When you pass it, you get some money. Do we have a path? Are the past indicators driven by policy or external factors? What reforms are needed to move Liberia from borderline to competitive one? And I want those watching too to think about these questions and see what you have. What single field indicator is the biggest threat to Liberia's MCC prospect? Is Liberia improving, stagnating, or declining? Dr. Malo, you can take any one of them.
Well, the first one I would like to take here is the issue of our fiscal responsibility. I think we don't have the tolerance. We don't have the spine, because the MCC scorecard is different from the reality on the ground. You see?
How?
Have you saw
the MCC scorecard is measuring what is on the ground?
That's what I'm saying.
And our data from, let's say, CBL, the interview they do with other people, that's what is informing these things.
That's correct.
I said trickle down. I said trickle down to the masses. I said that's the question. It's not a question of maybe measuring up with globalized personalities. All right. These are instruments used so that Liberia can get leverage out there to get money and beg for grant and all that kind of thing. The question now is, should we develop our own metric system as Liberian instead of people drafting these things for us? And
Yeah,
even
Dr.
if we
Mallory,
if we come out with our own metric system,
Dr. Mallory,
yes,
if you take a BP cuff and you measure your blood pressure, you know, is it going to be different because somebody does it? When your pressure high is high, whether the person who measures it from China or from Russia.
no, I can choose to manipulate my results rather than the person who's doing it. I can argue with the person. So
Okay.
what we are seeing here is that this thing is not taking us nowhere. It's not even helping us, not at all. You see?
Well, there's a
In the
carrot at the.
yeah.
No, I'm just saying there's a carrot. There's a carrot at the end of that stick that they're dangling in front of you, and that's that $500 million. So that's why we're complying with it, because we want that carrot. So it's not just something that is,
So if you
not
want that
consequential.
carrot, so you mortgage your own political sovereignty, right?
How
Because you
so?
want that carrot.
You gotta see how we're mortgaging it, Dr. Male.
I think the
But then you
question
realize
is,
that even if the $500 million trickle that come into Liberia, where does it go? You know,
That's
I
a different
know.
argument altogether.
Okay, you know, I know. So what's the big deal?
Dr. Male, the question, the main thing to focus on here is outcome. Take for instance, if they say, okay, if you have 1,000 girls, children in school, then you pass. So you just put girl children in school, like when we're on the refugee camp, when they was teaching, when supply coming, you will see a 50-year-old man, you call a beer and can sit down in the navigation class. You can get it supply.
We need children. Get it, old man, at 15-year-old job.
The purpose here is, okay, we want the money. So like, let's just throw girls children in school. We don't care what we're teaching them. We don't care what the outcome is. We don't care about what really they learn. But just to have this check mark, let's put them there. Okay, they're going to measure how long it takes to establish a business. So you just go there and just go through whether these businesses will stay the next 3 months or 3 years. We don't care. We just want to pass that. I think that's where the problem is. But I want us to conclude on this. Is Liberia improving, stagnating, or declining? And that will be the question we close with.
Well, I think Liberia is declining, because from government to government, certain things continue to repeat itself. That's what I noticed. Certain things continue to just repeat. You see, there are so many things that happen in Georgia government. They continue to resurface in this government. So now the question now is, it becomes difficult to even indict Georgia continuously.
What is the way forward? So what is the way forward? If the country is declining, what's the way forward?
Well, in the first place, we need to pull McKinney. In the first place, we need to have the spine to enforce things, and which of course we don't have. And I don't know when we ever have it, and under which government.
So we are finished. We're done.
The data-driven president is waiting to come. The system is corrupt. It's been corrupt since 100 and some more years. I don't know how even Kumi can change it. So what we're seeing here is that until we can enforce some things, throw some people in jail, introduce the capital punishment, it will set a very good deterrent to put him back on track, like getting away with a culture of impunity, investigating this war and throwing people in jail. Until those things happen, we're not going nowhere.
Thank you. Mr. Nabe, are we declining, stagnating, or improving?
This looks to me like, I mean, the evidence we're declining, right? Dr. Mali said some of that. We're doing some of the things that we accused the previous government of doing, and then some. I mean, the previous government came in no time, 47 or so condominiums sprung up. That story is still here with us. And what do we have today? We have the FOIA project coming up. The private jets, the same thing. We heard Dillon apologize to the previous government, all of that. So I think if anything, this government is going backwards. I think we expected a lot from this government that we're not seeing. So by that measure, I think we're declining. Rule of law.
The way forward.
Well, the way forward is, yes. I would think respect for the rule of law.
I thought you were going to say CMC.
I was coming to that. I will close it now, right? So I was going to also say, Dennis, the fact that we continue to fail fiscal policy fiscally, I think it's by design. I think it's intentional. We don't want to commit ourselves to a functional system because then the corruption will be highlighted. It will be easy to catch us. Where do you have the governor of the national bank, being the president relative and take bags of money from the bank and go to the president's house every night? It's happening in Liberia. Tell me it is not. Then you prove it to me. So it is by design that we don't want to put in place a system, right? Systematize our function so that all of these corrupt deeds that are happening will be highlighted, so they will continue to fail. And that is why, yes, that is why we're bringing in the third option, which is the CMC. Talking about that, congratulations to my man Musa Asambelete. He's being appointed chair of the committee to take a look at the charges, the exorbitant charges that are being charged by the port management. We know Sekou Dukle is using the port as his cash cow for his intention to run for office in Cape Mount. We know that. But the problem is the way he's running the port is really creating a lot of hardships for our people. Revenue that should be coming into government coffers, is going to other countries because some of the people are avoiding using the port because this is exorbitant charges. So congratulations to Musa Asambelete with his background as a former board chair for the chair of board director for the port and also his businessman background. We think he will bring a lot of sense to what is happening to his port here and set it straight. So congratulations to Musa Asambelete. We didn't have a chance, Dennis.
Who
Go ahead.
appointed him?
Thank you.
The House committee.
Committee.
The committee.
Dr. Pearson, I want you to close with the question on the screen. Why does Liberia continue to fail fiscal policy and government effectiveness? And does the Boakai administration have a credible path to securing an MCC compact?
Thank you, Dennis. The Boakai's administration has a credible path to securing an MCC compact because Boakai is a favorable candidate to the West. At this time, why does Liberia continue to fail fiscal policy and government effectiveness? Is because we do not love the country like we say we do. We are a bunch of hypocrites. We are a bunch of self-seeking individuals who are there for self-aggrandizement and self-enrichment. Everything we do is just a political farce and fiasco. And the true essence of our leadership in the country is dampened by corruption. And I will say this, Dennis, Liberia never had at any time more than 4 of its SOEs pumping over $6 million in a project in the country that the president did not know about, neither the legislature know about. It happened under us. Security-wise, there's a lot of deaths happening in Liberia. I will begin with the deaths that happen as a matter of electoral results, electoral violence in the country. In Lofa, in Monserrado County, has never been investigated. Those families are still looking for justice and they are being suppressed. They have never gotten justice. Our border is occupied by the Guinean forces. Our security is not secure. President Boakai said Domoyan is his nephew to whom he gave a Liberian citizen overnight at the airport when everybody was sleeping outside of the jurisdiction of the executive while he was under the custody of the coast of the Republic of Liberia. As I speak to you, there are more Liberians that are homeless as a result of poor planning because they lost their homes to an urban minister, to a government that did not seek to have dialogue with landowners to ensure that Liberians are properly relocated to homes that will save them.
What's the way forward?
Listen, elect Mr. Alexander Cummings as president of the Republic of Liberia, and he will bring to bear all of the skills necessary to move Liberia forward. But I will say this, Dennis, you myself have provided way forward for all of these things we're discussing right now. President Boakai will do what President Boakai will want to do, and he will tell you plainly, you will see things you've never seen before. President Boakai is not looking for advice from us. He's looking for us to see from him things we've never seen before, including but not limited to the mansion you're building in your house, in your compound right now, in your house in rehab that he never had in his lifetime, even after being 5% for 12 years.
They said a library.
Thank you.
In your house?
Yeah, I want to say.
All right.
Elvis, Are the past indicators driven by policy or by external factors? The reason we pass. And what reforms are needed to move Liberia from borderline to a competitive one?
You put a hard question there for me. Yeah, I'm smart enough to answer the hard question. But look,
You can.
I think the past and the ones that we pass is because look, we do have competent individuals in our country, right? Like the likes of Gafon. I personally, some people disagree with me. I think he's a competent economist, right? And I think he can, like
He's
people can
not,
say, he can,
he's not an economist.
not an economist. What is he? A banker,
He did accounting.
accountant. Okay,
Mhm.
he's our finance minister, right? He's pretty much, helping the president formulate economic policies within the country, right? So for me, I think there are people who are competent, who can run the numbers, who can put certain things in place that will allow us to pass in certain places like economic indicators and other things like that. But my point here is the last question is the one I really wanted to answer, and I think the president can improve, the outlook or the possibility of getting this grant maybe next year if he kind of cuts down, because one of the things that we have to look at our country as is we're a poor country. We're the eighth poorest country in the world. And we spend money on ridiculous things that is not necessary for a poor country. It's like we're a poor person, a person living in poverty, and we're spending money on private jets that we can't afford. We're spending money on recurring expenditures that we can't afford. We're not taking care of our citizens. If you take the initiative and show intent by cutting waste and cutting certain redundant jobs in government, right? And show that you're going to allocate that money that save to the Liberian people directly, to building, to girls' education, to helping to fight against rape and gender-based violence, to making sure that you bolster your health sector, to investing more money in education. Show that you're taking actions to solve some of the ills of your society. I think we will be better, and this government will become a more credible government to show that they're now looking within, not going out to beg people for more money, but looking at where you're using and spending money that is unnecessary, and you're going to cut those ways and bring that money back to the Liberian people. I think when the government starts to do that, it shows that they have the true heart of for the people, and that they want to cut waste and take that money and spend it. And for me, I would agree with you, Dr. Pearson. I think actually the mess we're in, it took me a while to come to this realization, but I think Cummings is the right person to fix our country. And I just think his problem is that electability for him, because it's not a meritorious system. It's not a meritocracy. You have to get elected. You have to sway people and woo people. Your sheer qualification and being qualified is just not enough in a political arena. And that's where I think he's lacking, because I think looking at it holistically, I think his skill set is sublime to fix our problem. But does he have the ability to get elected as our president?
Is this an endorsement? I mean, what's going
Yeah,
on?
yeah. Actually, I think if next election, I think I would probably lean on the Cummings team. I've been thinking hard about it. I think just overall, he's the best qualified, but
So are you
electability
officially
is
leaving the
something that I
WEAC
think
team
will be a
now?
challenge for him.
Are you
Say that
officially
again?
leaving? Are you officially leaving the WEAC team?
Mr. God, just 10 minutes, please.
10 minutes.
I mean, 10 seconds.
We're about to close. And Victor can give the man chance to endorse a.
Yes, I just
Yeah.
wanted to push back a little bit on Ed.
Please don't push back. I want you to tell us the way forward. Tell us what everything that we've said tonight. What can we do? 10 seconds.
Well, the way forward here is that you can't determine the competency of any leader until the leader is seated. And
The way
secondly,
forward, sir. It's not about anybody competence.
Relevant experience matters.
No. That's a fact. So the way forward here is that the success.
Wait, Dr. Male, isn't that you who talked about Christmas Eve yet earlier today?
I said the way forward, the success of the next government will depend on what.
What's the way forward for Liberia?
I'm coming now. The way forward, the success of the next government or the incoming government will depend on what the government is doing today. So the way forward here is one. Yeah, you want to get straight question. The way forward here, the one. We talk about wasteful spending, reduce it into law, Let it pass. They are no serious. We talk about government bureaucracy is too large. Reduce it into law. Let it pass. Then when Kumi then come now, something will be in place. But none of these things happening. We're just talking and talking. So the next government is going to fail. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. I really appreciate your time, taking up this time on Friday night. Tonight's conversation reminds us that governance is not measured by
I got a new candidate tonight.
or ceremonies. It is measured by systems, discipline, transparency, and results. The Foreign Travel Directive raises questions about efficiency and executive power. The anti-corruption and justice bills test the administration's commitment to institutional reform. The GAC's commendation challenges us to examine whether independence is real or symbolic, and the MCC scorecard forces Liberia to confront its strengths and weaknesses in global context. As always, the goal is not to take sides, but to elevate the national conversation. Liberia deserves a governance culture rooted in accountability, performance, and service to the people. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your moderator, the best the country has ever known when it comes to this. Until then, we're going to close with our song that says, "We are all Liberians." Have a good night and God bless you.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our